The premise of the show, the story, if you will, is centers on a girl named Lucy who is a historian and the daughter of one of the most famous historians at the moment. And she's a renegade at the school. The students love her, but she rubs people the wrong way because of her doggedness in her beliefs and her view of history. And there's a knock at the door, and the government basically shows up and says, Lucy, come with us. And she's whisked away to this Elon Musk type think tank where apparently time travel has been created and it has been successful. And because her mother is not available, who's very sick, and Lucy's the greatest living historian at the time, they ask her to go back in time because terrorists have gotten a hold of the time machine and they don't know why, but they need this crackerjack team that they're putting together with Lucy at the head to figure it out. And that thus begins our adventure. Lucy is the kind of character, she's an accidental hero. She's a human being that gets kind of, roped into this world that's much beyond her capacity, and then she rises to the occasion because maybe there's more to the story and maybe she has the skills to do it. So it's exciting. I'm excited to venture into this kind of unknown, unreal yet totally real world of time travel. I feel it's so interesting because I feel like it seems like it could be so far away, but maybe it's not. And I think that's kind of the epicness of the show is exploring something that we're so fascinated with because it seems so unplausible, and yet maybe we're closer to this reality than we know. Even though time travel scares the crap out of me, I am very interested in history, and I was always very interested in history. So to actually kind of put on the cloak of that time period, particularly as an actor too, is really intriguing. In the world of the show, Lucy is our way in. It's a really meta idea. Time travel, the history of time. We're exploring, not only American history but world history. Choices that were made. Is what we've been taught the truth? What's the real? What's not? We're exploring a lot of big themes and uncovering a lot of mysteries. Actually, what would it be like to be in that moment? But in that very meta scope of a story like this, when you're exploring time or time travel or the theories thereof, you need a very human portal into that world, and Lucy is our channel into that, into this time travel adventure, really kind of overwhelmingly resounding world. And you need that. You need someone who's messy and doesn't have it all figured out, and she's kind of our way in. The hope is that people will relate to the show, I think somewhat for the fantasy of it, because you could fulfill part of your dreams of like, what if something were to happen and I got the opportunity to go back and do it again or re-experience it or change history, and potentially change the future. So there's the fantastical kind of dream element of it. But then there's like a real reality to it because of all the strides that we've made in our world. I mean, who would have thunk of the internet, 50 years ago? I mean, it would have been like, that's crazy, So I feel like we hopefully will be a little bit ahead and, I don't know, maybe even predicting the future. What I enjoyed most when I read it is I loved Lucy. I thought that she was just a fully realized woman. I thought that she was beautiful and damaged and had a lot of conflict in her current situation in the world. Conflict at work, conflict at home. Someone who maybe wasn't reaching their full potential but living in someone else's shadow. And I think that's a really relatable situation. It is for me anyway. So I loved her, and I loved her conflict and her plight and her sense of humor and her warmth. And then on, like, page 15, it's like, what is that? What just happened? It really goes on this total. I had no idea what was coming. I read it blind. So to see this woman who I've met that I've kind of fallen in love with in the first 10 pages really sent on this wild adventure. It felt like reading like Indiana Jones or something like that, just this real human story, but in this epic search. And I loved it. And Sean Ryan and Eric Kripke, who wrote it, are incredible writers. They have an incredible track record, beloved in the industry, and yeah, it was just really entertaining. I mean, I couldn't put it down.